Hello everyone, welcome back to Those YG guys. I'm your host Alessandro. So we got some very interesting spoiler news been going around the past few days. Not only that, also the European WCQ 2016 has been going on this weekend as well. So yeah, we're making our way to day 2 to see the event. So this should be interesting. What deck will win the European WCQ 2016. So it should be very interesting to see and how things turn out in that tournament. So let's start on a very unique topic, which is basically the Yu-Gi-Oh! OTS 2 tournament packs. That's going to be coming up at your local store. I think starting very soon, to be exact. I don't know exactly when. It has been spoiled what cards are going to be in it. There's going to be like ulti version of Kuraz, the Light Monarch, ulti version of Fog King, and also ulti version of Raigeki as well. Other good, interesting cards like Super Master Stick. Then let's see off the top of my head. There's also the common version of Melody Awakening Dragon, which is a very good reprint. Recently been going up in price lately due to the Blue Eyes hype, which I cannot blame anyone. I'm really pumped for Blue Eyes as well. It really looks really cool. I really like what Konami has done with the Blue Eyes archetype, big time. But that's not the main topic I want to talk about exactly within that pack. Within that pack, there was actually one particular card that really gets my hopes up high, and hoping that things will turn out what I'm hoping for it to be. And what card am I talking about? It is Infernity Archfiend. Now, you might be wondering, like, well, why Infernity Archfiend of all things? Hear me out. Back in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's era, Infernities was actually one of my most favorite archetypes back then, along with Blackwings. Those are like the two main archetypes I really like back in those days. Infernities has a very unique playstyle where basically you have to achieve like having no cards in hand to activate some of the Infernity cards' powerful effects, but also putting everything on the field, so it's kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket and hope for the best, and while maintaining your board position and see how things go. So some people were actually kind of scratching their heads like, well, why are they reprinting Infernity Archfiend? I mean, it's limited. I mean, what does this have anything to do with? Hear me out. Usually Konami, they sometimes reprint cards. Either A, it has something to advertise for future product that is maybe hosting like for future, like there's gonna be more support for this certain archetype. Or B, there's usually an implication that a card might be addressed on the ban list, where either if it's going to be put on the ban list or moving up, going towards like from 3 to 2 or to limited section or getting banned or something, or going the other way around where we can have a card might get taken down the ban list. One of the most notorious example, and I remember this from the back of my head, and this was back in the summer of 2011. I think it was late June 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Back then, it was the Gold Series 4 that was released, and one of the cards within it was Blackluster Soldier Envoy Beginning. At that time period, Blackluster Soldier Envoy Beginning was banned. So people were like kind of scratching their heads like, well, why is this card in here? Is it like for collectibles purpose? I mean, nobody really had really a strong implication. Even I didn't know much about it. I was like, I don't know. Funny enough, few months later, back when TCG and OCG follow one single ban list. Back when we were like unified and the ban lists were like updated every 6 months. Blacklisted Soldier has been gone from banned to limited. So this is an indicator that, you know, certain cards, even if it's like in a very awkward position, like if it's limited or banned, sometimes maybe an indicator that maybe it might come off the ban list sometimes or moving it down. So for Infernity Archfiend's case, I'm hoping that maybe it might be moving down on the list, like maybe from 1 to 2 or even go straight back to 3. The reason why I think about that, and not only that, I'm also hoping Infernity Bear as well to come back to 3 as well. Because the game has changed quite a bit, especially with Laval Chain being banned. I think that's like one of the main culprits right there. One of the key cards that made Infernities very competitive. That alongside Soul Charge being at 1 as well nowadays. Yeah, because back then, in especially the national season of 2014, Laval Chain was at 3, Soul Charge was at 3. XC's version Infernities was really scary to take on. There has been a really good XC's version Infernities until I've seen Sahabi Carradine's build back in the North American WCQ 2014. I think I saw a deck profile of it, and I tried it out myself, and I really liked it a lot. It's impressive. It's I tried like solitaire play, see how I handle the card combination that I have in my opening hand, see how I go about things, and it's very intriguing. It's very cool. I really like it. After Infernities won Worlds, of course, back then, I think 2014 was the first World Championship tournament where they have a very unique ban list where, you know, they're gonna pile up, jam everything from both the TCG and the OCG, jam into one list and see, like, take the least common denominator. Like if a card in the TCG is at 1 but is at 3 in the OCG, the World Banners will have that card at 1, for example, or something like in that case. So it's very interesting, and I'm really hoping that Archfiend and Barry come back to 3, because I really don't think Infernities would make that big of a commotion as it did back then, because 1, Soul Charge is at 1, 2, Laval Chain's banned, and I don't think Konami has any plans of unbanning Laval Chain. But if they do, then there's really no point in bringing back Infernities. But I rather prefer having the Infernity archetype gain their own searcher back, their own defensive card back as well, because I feel like those two are kind of collateral damage that, you know, in order to keep Laval Chain in the game, that, and I think the TCG Konami kind of overreact with the whole notion of Infernities won World Tournament. Back then, people usually think, like, you know, when a deck wins Worlds, Konami should destroy the deck and all that. And honestly, for that kind of tournament, I don't think that has really a strong implication. Back then, I thought, you know, Laval Chain and Soldier were the primary examples to be hit. Granted, Soul Charge was correct, which I was happy, but then Laval Chain kind of dodged the bullet. Instead, Infernity Archfiend took its place, which, yeah, that's not very happy moments from. That's not something I'm very pleased about. But then I kind of dealt with, like, okay, we'll work things out. I mean, we can adjust. Funny enough, less than a year later, Laval Chain got banned, and I was like, wow, okay, so is this a sign that Laval Chain, is this a sign like Infernity Archfiend and Infernity Bear moving down the list? Unfortunately, right now, as of lately, they're still at 1, and I'm hoping they will move down the list soon because the game has changed a lot. It's kind of ridiculous how an archetype's their own search cards that's still at 1, whereas other decks and their own search card like is still at 3 basically. Not all of them, but majority of them basically. Let's see. Also, we're starting to see more Infinity Barriers running around, start popping up, especially in 3-ofs. But it's funny because the original Infinity Barrier is still at 1, and I don't know about you, but Infinity Barrier is one of those Infinity Barrier-like cards that has a really, really interesting condition where it requires you to have no cards in hand and a face-up attack position Infinity monster. Now, granted, there are a few Infinity monsters that have some decent stats, but majority of the Infinity monsters have little to no attack points. So it's something that's like, now you may say like, well, what about Infinity Break? Now, granted, yes, Infinity Break is a pretty good card. It can target and destroy any card on the field, on your opponent's side field, whether it's like a spell, trap card, or monster, that kind of stuff. But lately, how the game has been going, targeting has been not as good as it once was. And seeing how Infinity's been kind of hindered due to like having their own important pieces still limited, it's kind of discouraging to even wanting to keep on playing the deck or keep updating when it's like, why bother when I could just go play Ritual Beast, for example, which people refer to it as like Infinities 2.0 or Win Infinities, however you want to consider them. Despite of Ulti Conhawk being limited, which even though I don't really agree with it personally, but hey, that's basically my own opinion. But the Ritual Beast deck itself is still it's still kind of complete, and they're not really that reliant, like super heavily reliant on emergency teleport. I mean, usually I've seen Ritual Beast decks usually run like 1 or 2, and that's about it. I mean, they're not that super heavily reliant on emergency teleport, unlike other psychic decks. So, yeah. So, I think that's all I have to say. I'm really hoping that Infernities will soon get their own support cards back soon. I don't know if it's going to be this upcoming ban list or it's going to be sometime in the near future. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about the Infernity archetype? Do you think Infernities deserve to have their stuff back? Or not really? I'm very interested in reading your comments. Post them down. And hopefully we'll have a discussion going on. So, I think that's all I have to say. I'll catch you guys later in the next video. So, take care. Bye-bye.